The Unseen Battle, Alexis Davis, Willow Tate, and the Ethical Earthquake Shaking Port Charles. You know the feeling, right? That deep, gut-wrenching moment when you realize two things you deeply care about are on a catastrophic collision course. That's exactly the heart-stopping drama currently gripping our favorite fictional town, Port Charles, and the legal titan at its center, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran. The buzz is deafening, the theories are flying, and the sheer tension in the air is palpable. At stake? The future, freedom, and emotional stability of Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen. Her life is in absolute turmoil, and who steps up to the plate to defend her? None other than the brilliant but deeply compromised Alexis Davis. This isn't just a simple legal case. This is an ethical time bomb wrapped in decades of Port Charles history, family ties, past indiscretions, and fiery personal vendettas. When we talk about Alexis defending Willow, we have to ask ourselves, can she really be fair? Does Alexis possess the emotional and professional distance required to ensure Willow gets the justice she deserves? Or is she walking into a conflict of interest so profound it could derail not only the case, but her entire career and fracture her family? Fire, a personal firestorm. Why this defense is doomed from the start. Forget the dry legal texts for a moment. Let's talk about the emotional reality on the ground. For a defense attorney, your client's trust is everything. But in Port Charles, trust is a four-letter word and a complicated web. The victim in Willow's current mess, the person causing all this chaos, has not just threatened Willow, they have actively sought and obtained a restraining order against the entire Davis-Ashford-Corinthos sphere of influence. That includes Alexis, her daughters, and even her grandchild. Alexis is literally a victim of her client's adversary. This isn't a minor scheduling conflict. This is a direct, personal assault. How can you fight a war on behalf of someone when the enemy has already drawn a line right through your own front door? Every strategy meeting, every piece of evidence reviewed, every argument presented to the court will be colored by the fact that Alexis is simultaneously fighting to protect her own family from the very person she's arguing against. This is a level of personal involvement that doesn't just suggest a conflict of interest, it practically screams it from the rooftops. As one fan on social media perfectly encapsulated the frustration, how can Alexis not have conflicts of interest? Like, she has known Michael his entire life, and Michael is Willow's ex who slept with Drew. Michael is her daughter's brother. I know Drew is desperate, but this can't be right. The tangled web, Michael, Drew, and the ghost of relationship past. The complications only multiply when you consider the romantic history woven into this case. Willow's life is intertwined with two of the most significant men in Alexis's orbit, Michael Corinthos, Chad Duell, and Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson. Let's break it down. Alexis and Michael. Alexis has known Michael since he was a little boy. She has watched him grow up, stood by him during his most trying times, and is intrinsically connected to the Corinthos family. Michael is the brother of her daughter, Sam McCall's son, Danny. This isn't a stranger off the street. This is family. Willow and Michael. Willow is Michael's ex-fiancée, and they share a deeply complicated history. The Drew factor. Perhaps the most explosive element is the revelation that Willow slept with Drew Kane, Sam's current love interest and the father of Scout. This adds a layer of scandalous complexity and raw emotion. For Alexis, defending Willow means having to navigate the fallout of her client's past with the man who is actively rebuilding a life with her own daughter. It's almost impossible to maintain objectivity. Imagine sitting across the table from your client, knowing that her past actions directly impact your daughter's present happiness. It's a natural, human reaction to feel a pull toward protecting your own, and in a high-stakes trial, that slight, unconscious bias can be the difference between victory and devastating loss. As one fan on social media perfectly encapsulated the frustration, how can Alexis not have conflicts of interest? Like, she has known Michael his entire life, and Michael is Willow's ex who slept with Drew. Michael is her daughter's brother. I know Drew is desperate, but this can't be right. The ghost of justice past. Where is Diane Miller? The legal fraternity in Port Charles is notoriously thin, but the current situation begs a crucial question. Where are the ethics, and where is Diane Miller? Sharp-eyed fans have pointed out a devastating precedent. As another critic wrote, "Correct me if I'm wrong, Diane couldn't represent Michael. She's Alexis' attorney on record for questioning. Alexis couldn't do it. She's also a suspect. That's why Marcus came for Michael when questioned." This echoes the very problem we're facing now. If the laws of conflict are so tightly knit that Diane couldn't represent Michael due to her history with Alexis, then the ethical breach with Alexis representing Willow is even more gaping. Furthermore, Alexis herself has been named a suspect in the broader context of this case. How can an attorney represent a client when the police could at any moment pivot and name the attorney an accomplice, conspirator, or even a co-defendant? Her focus will naturally be split, defending Willow, yes, but also constantly watching her back, ensuring her own legal liability is minimized. This is an untenable position for any client, especially one facing the kind of life-altering stakes Willow is facing. The consensus is clear. Port Charles desperately needs a new legal gun. Michael and Drew's desperation has led them to make a potentially catastrophic judgment call that could cost Willow everything. "We need more lawyers, even if it is only temporary for the storyline," demanded one concerned viewer. "It's not about capability, it's about impartiality." The soap opera clause, when conflict of interest is ignored for the drama. Let's be honest. This is a soap opera, and in the world of General Hospital, the rules of jurisprudence are often bent, twisted, and sometimes outright ignored for the sake of high drama. One fan comment that resonated deeply with the collective frustration of the audience hit the nail right on the head. Throughout the years, GH has ignored conflict of interest in the courts. Unless the star of GH, Drew Kane, has an issue, it seems their favoritism has given him more power than any congressman has ever had. The power imbalance is a constant source of fan debate. Does the show's desire to keep its core stars in the central action, specifically Drew Kane, mean that they get a free pass on realistic legal procedure? Drew, a man often portrayed as morally centered, is the one pushing for Alexis's representation out of sheer necessity. But in doing so, he's potentially pushing Willow into a defense that is fatally flawed from the start. This storyline forces us to confront a recurring GH theme. Does emotional urgency trump ethical conduct? If the plot armor is strong enough, Alexis might simply sail through this conflict of interest, winning the case in a dramatic courtroom reveal. But if the writers decide to embrace the deep ethical reality, this case could blow up spectacularly, leading to a much harsher outcome for Willow and a professional ruin for Alexis. What's next for Willow? The high-stakes wager. Willow's immediate future hangs precariously in the balance. Every fan is on the edge of their seat, desperately hoping for a resolution. But this ethical dilemma is casting a dark shadow over the proceedings. The drama is far from over. Will Alexis do the right thing and recuse herself, prioritizing Willow's legal safety over her own pride and her need to be in the fight? Or will she dive headfirst into the conflict, risking everything on her ability to compartmentalize her personal hatred and family ties? It remains to be seen how the ABC network will play this out. We are glued to our screens every weekday, knowing that the smallest misstep, the slightest ethical lapse, could change the course of several lives forever. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a high-stakes emotional wager. And for Alexis Davis, the gamble might be too great. Would you like me to dive deeper into Willow's emotional journey during this legal fight, or perhaps explore Diane Miller's potential secret involvement from the shadows?